So below me are train tracks to the airport, train tracks to the west side of town, and train tracks to the east side of town. And outside at the town square are buses, and in the old days used to be streetcars. So that's why we chose this spot for the kickoff of Is America Broken? For many towns, this would be considered the center of town or the Grand Central Station, where people would come and people would leave. So that's kind of appropriate because in civic life, we meet and we disperse. We meet and we disperse. We're going to talk about the introduction to the book first. The book Is America Broken? It's really meant to be a stepping stone. In fact, we make one guarantee. You will definitely find something that you don't agree with. But we also guarantee that together we can figure this out. It's also important to point out that just because we're in a political divide does not mean that we're going to fix this with politics. The politics that got us into this divide are not going to be the same politics that get us out of the divide. So you do not need to be a political animal to enjoy this book or to learn what we can do. America was born on ideals. Specifically, the ideals of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, and this concept of we the people. Those ideals are not broken. We have taken our eye off the ball, and we also have this gnawing feeling that we can fight to understand this problem. What we found through a lot of discussions, over 200 interviews to do the book, is that we the people, Americans, we want to be part of the solution, but we don't quite know how. We don't have a simple solution for you because it is a little bit complicated, but it is not rocket science. And what we found is once people see the pieces, they say, oh, I get it. I can understand this. And so don't freak out. Almost no American has time to spend hours on understanding this issue of Is America Broken? We made the time. And what we hoped is that we could see a path form that Americans could travel. And by seeing that path, give us all some hope. One of the first things we discovered, which is no surprise really, we have this crisis of trust in America. And that turns out to be a kind of a perfect storm of trust. And it wasn't a conspiracy. We need to make that clear. It just is humans getting out of balance. We have several reasons over the last several decades to distrust, especially our federal government. People will debate where that started to happen. But just some of the things that started that slide of distrust was Watergate, and now like Servergate, the Vietnam War, the Iraq War, progress on race, and then moving backwards on race. And now we're trying to figure out how to get through a pandemic without a political divide. The second piece of this perfect storm is technology. So now we have smartphones, and we're able to communicate with each other in seconds. News travels fast, and news travels in a fragmented way. The third part of this perfect storm was significant changes in law that created news silos. News is no longer balanced, but news is in silos. The final piece of that is now the media gets involved. And the media can message us on all manner of flat screens until we're not quite sure who to believe. The result of all of that is basically special interest competing with special interest, competing with special interest, instead of we the people creating collaboration and fighting to understand. Here's the thing. These issues of divided America do not get solved with blaming. They do not get solved with more competition of left versus right and survival of the fittest. They get resolved by taking a step back. Before we move forward, we need to step back to remember. Remember is like, let's recall our roots: life, liberty, pursuit of happiness, and we the people. Let's redefine our goals. Let's reestablish our trust between we the people, and let's recollect ourselves. Remember. Here's the second thing. We need to get creative, and we need to let go of those comfort zones that hold us back from being creative. I have come to believe that our founders, not perfect, did the best they could at the time they wrote the Constitution. After all, the full rights were only allowed for white male property owners. But they made that Constitution expandable. So I would say, thank God it was expandable, and we've been able to include enslaved people, women's right to vote, gay marriage, and more. Which is also why we included 18 other people to collaborate on the book. We knew that this needed to be a group effort. And on top of the 18 collaborators, over 250 interviews to try to get the big picture. And still, we need you to participate and add even more to the harmony that we're trying to build. We tie in some deep roots, including things like consumer economics, psychological tricks and triumphs that we make, our spiritual rootedness, and our search for meaning. And we touch on a little bit of politics and an occasional paradox here and there to spice it up. From 19 collaborators, ours is a message of hope that we the people 2.0 can fight to understand without body bags. Welcome aboard.